So, if you are on Book Talk or BookTube or any other book adjacent social media community, you would know about Age of Scorpius, the debut book from author Audra Winter that has been a huge point of controversy because of, let's just say, the disastrous book launch of just an incomplete book. Audra Winter released a product that was not worth the money she charged for it and continues to double down on said product and continues to not learn her lessons from it. But that doesn't mean that we can't learn lessons from it as writers ourselves. So I'm going to talk you all through 3 lessons I have learned from reading Age of Scorpius because yes, I actually read it. I'm not just jumping on a hate bandwagon. I have read the book with my own 2 eyes. I've done a thread where I live posted reading it on my side author account on Blue Sky. So if you want my credentials, I've read the whole damn book. These are 3 of the most standout poor writing craft things that I noticed while reading Age of Scorpius. Firstly, just as a starter point, this one feels very obvious if you are a seasoned writer of long-form media, but if you aren't, you need to know that chapters must have arcs. Chapters must have something to them. Some authors will do tiny short chapters to punctuate something or to add emphasis, but for the most part, outside of an artistic choice, a rare artistic choice to make a point, your chapters must have an arc, a rising action, a conclusion of some kind. The conclusion does not mean things have to be wrapped up, but it has to mean the chapter was leading us somewhere. Chapters cannot just be blank voids. There must be purpose to why this is a specific section of your book. Why is this moment so important that it is sectioned off as an independent chapter in your book? There must be purpose behind that. My second point is related to that, which is the fact that your chapters should not end with nothingness. And by nothingness, I mean 2 specific things, falling asleep or passing out. If every single chapter ends with going to bed or passing out, it implies that the universe stops working when the character's eyes are closed. It implies that time stops when the author is bored of writing the chapter. It implies that the world is not alive and moving and that the plot can continuously be paused because it is just that unimportant. It is a very common trope in fan fiction for you to end a chapter on a character going to bed or passing out or experiencing some other thing that pauses their existence in the world. And that is because in a lot of unplanned serialized fiction where chapters can be posted one point at a time, such as fan fiction, this is often a saving grace for the author because the author does not know where it is going. The author does not know what happens next, so they put your character to bed while they figure out what happens next. In a published book, you should ideally know what happens next and leave your chapter off at a jumping point, at something that encourages your reader to keep reading and something that encourages you as a writer to keep writing. Some of the best books I've ever read have also been written by people who know how to write episodic TV shows because they treat each chapter like an episode of TV. There is enough content in the chapter to make it worth reading, and the ending makes it worth continuing reading. The last thing I think we can all learn from Age of Scorpius on a writing craft level is that your world building must be plausible. Your world building does not have to be scientifically accurate. I love suspending disbelief. I love nonsense literature. I like writing surrealist works myself. Not everything has to be scientifically accurate or explainable or even, nothing even really has to make sense in a greater idea. You know what I mean? You could have weird, random stuff happening, and it could be perfectly okay as long as it is something that is normal and plausible for the world you are creating. Think about Alice in Wonderland. A lot of random stuff happens that makes no sense, that has these little standout vignette moments of just weirdness, but it is plausible and normal for the world the book takes place in, so we never question it in a greater sense. We never actually sit and ask ourselves, why a raven is like a writing desk. We roll with it because that's the world that's been set up for us. We are able to safely suspend disbelief in a way that allows us to interact with the piece authentically. And Age of Scorpius does not allow you to do that because so much is either over-explained or completely underexplained and thrown at a wall. And the characters consistently act like things are happening that they don't even understand is happening. They are disconnected from the world, which makes us disconnected from the world, because it seems like someone doesn't know what the world is. It kind of feels like the author changes the world to fit what she wants to happen next, not that what is happening next happens because it is in the world. You know? Audra Winter has a lot to learn from this situation, especially in regards to people's money and how to handle other people's money. But all of us can learn about better writing craft from this story alone. Outside of proofreading, outside of line editing, outside of anything like that, we can learn a lot from just the story structure and the amateur mistakes you can find in books like Age of Scorpius. And so those are my 3 top things I would have as a takeaway from Age of Scorpius if you have read it, which I have, so take these away.